Welcome to the Slow Goods Podcast, where we love to talk all about Maine, quality craftsmanship, and timeless design, and how these three things often intersect. Along the way, we'll hear some inspiring and authentic stories, and if we have ears to hear, gain some wisdom as well. I'm your host, Logan Ratcliffe, and today I'm joined by founder and curator of Fitz Bennett Home, Lauren Sophistication. When Lauren founded Fitz Bennett, she wanted a way to offer affordable and quality home products that were also a piece of this special place here in Maine. Well, welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
I know we, had some contact over the years off and on, and so good to have you here.
Well, I remember the first time I ever met you was at Curated. You walked in with like an arms full of mats. And you were like, we make these and we want to sell them to you.
Nice.
I was like, okay, let's work it out. And we did. And that was awesome.
Perfect.
That was like, almost 10 years
ago? Did we
ago?
never met at a trade show before that?
No. I think then you guys started doing trade shows. Or maybe you had done some. I don't know.
I just walked in.
I think you did. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of that.
No, that was good. Yeah, that's the worst.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best, but it's also, it's hard.
Nerve-wracking.
But so just to... I introduced you a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure.
Where you started, how you got to where you are today. Mm-hmm. What makes Lauren?
Yeah. I'm not a native Mainer. I'm from away, but I've been here for almost 15 years. So, and I married a Mainer, and we have kids here. So I feel like maybe they'll accept me as their own. Maybe.
You're accepted.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So I grew up in Connecticut, went to school in Rhode Island, and then had a friend up here I went to school for textiles, merchandising, and design. So I've always been very into, textiles and design, and was super into fashion. Always loved interior design. I was always moving my room around and driving my parents insane. And can we paint this wall? And I need 25 pillows for my bed. And, all that annoying stuff that kids do. Maybe
That's
not
cool,
every
though,
kid.
That you were that,
I
into
always
that early.
Kind of knew I wanted to do that. And then moved up here kind of on a whim and started working for an interior designer in town. And then, was there for a couple of years and then ended up at Curated, which was this home decor store down on Commercial Street that was kind of like this magical moment of in time. I feel like people still come in tears because they're so sad that it's gone. And it was just a special place,
Yeah, it was rare.
Yeah, it was rare. We had a lot of really high-end lines that you don't find everywhere. And I was lucky enough to get in at the ground floor, and Karen and I would go buying together, which was great. So I got to go to Paris 3 times. I got to...
What did you guys do there? Was it just...
there's a huge trade show there.
Right, there's the trade show. So it was just finding more lines.
Yeah, finding more lines.
No antiquing, I guess is what I was asking.
No, we had we would always look and toyed with getting a container and doing all that. But I mean...
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. So we got to do that, got to travel, go to New York, do the whole thing, really did the trade show stuff a lot, which was a lot of fun, It
seemed like you were her right-hand person or a protege or I don't know. Yeah, it seemed.
Yeah, we had a great relationship. She's an awesome woman. And it was a lot of fun, but I kind of realized at one point that I kind of had gotten as far as I could go there, and maybe I wanted to have my own thing or do something else or... just switch it up. So I left, and then they ended up closing not that long after. Okay. Not that it was me. It was just a bunch of other things. And, I don't want to give myself that much credit.
I just remember talking to Karen at the trade show. I want to speak for her, but, I think she was just time to be just... Yeah,
she was just
been there a long time.
Yeah, and she really, it ran its course, and it was awesome. But
she
was just
enjoy.
Yeah, things don't have to last forever, which I think is a good thing to keep in mind. You don't have to do the same thing forever or hang on for anybody else if you don't want to.
Right.
So I was able to open my own store, which was kind of crazy and, a pipe dream. And
that's really cool.
Yeah. And it worked out. I was 6 months pregnant with Greta when I opened the store, which was 6 years ago today.
Wow.
Yeah. 6 years.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I have my shop birthday in my calendar, and I was like, wow, 6 years. So we opened, and I don't know. It was an interesting change of pace. I thought a lot of the lines that did well at Curated would work, for my store, but they didn't. It was just a different environment, different feel. And I really did want to focus on finding affordable things. I didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't even walk in the store because everything was too expensive or out of reach or too precious. I wanted it to be very accessible and a friendly place. Not that Kay Colette wasn't friendly, but just a little more approachable, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely see that and feel that, especially with the like maybe your colors.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and
very warm.
They're warm. Yeah, they're bright and kind of fun, and like you said in your intro, like kitsch and
craft.
Kitsch and craft.
Yeah, we'll get more into that. You've just said so much. I'm trying to.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll shut up if you want to.
No, keep
interject.
talking.
Okay.
No. I'm not saying. Yeah, keep going with your story.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's my story. So that was 6 years ago, and then we've just had to close for a little bit during COVID, which was so scary. I mean, for everybody, but feels more normal now. We're out of it. I felt like that was actually a huge boost in business because people were really coming out for the businesses that they loved and they didn't want to see go away. So I felt like we were so supported.
That's cool.
And it helped us sustain and so we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
That's my story.
Your story's great. You got way more to the story than that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit, you grew up on like the coast of Connecticut?
Yes. Yeah. In this like little village called Niantic. So I guess the nearest town that people would recognize would be Mystic area, like Mystic
right
Pizza.
there.
Yeah. Like the seaport. My parents still live in Niantic.
Yeah. We sell the Mystic Knotworks.
Oh, you do? Yeah. That's awesome.
He's a cool guy.
Oh, do you sell to Azalea too?
No.
Okay. She's in Niantic. She has a really cute shop. I feel like that might be a good fit for you guys.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah. Give
Good
you that
to know.
Too. Yeah.
So, and then you came up, you were just like naturally like a designer and you liked making your room pretty and everything.
I guess, yeah. I feel like I always had that like entrepreneurial spirit too, because I was always like, I remember making these like little pouches out of remnant fabrics and like selling them at like the beach craft show.
Like how old were you when you were doing that?
I was young. I was probably like 16 or 17.
Cool.
I don't know.
Yep.
Kind of dorky, I guess. But it's funny.
How's that dorky?
I don't know. So then I still will go home and there will be people who are like, I had my pouch and they show it to me and they are like, this is the best. I'm like, thank you for hanging on to that silly thing for that long, But I don't know. I always did like stuff like that. I just always had the drive to do my own thing. I guess I just didn't want anyone to be my boss. I wanted to be my own boss, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. But so you go to this show, you make this thing, and like people bought some of it.
Yes,
So what did that feel like? That must have been so good.
I mean, it's like addicting. It's what I mean. You're like, oh my gosh, I can make money and sell these things, and you're kind of like more a little bit.
You like actually took like I don't know, it was leather or whatever, and you sewed it.
Yeah, it was just cotton fabric, and I did like an accent ribbon. I worked for a tailor like growing up when I was younger, so I worked at a tailor shop in town and would do alterations on, everything from like business suits, taking jackets to like wedding dress hems.
You got skills then.
Yeah, all that stuff. I made my prom dress senior year, like all that kind of thing. So that was always, cool. I don't know, the sewing. I was like, I can use my skills to make something and sell it and go from there. So
what was the school you went to?
I went to University of Rhode Island, and it was the textiles merchandising and design program there.
That's neat they even had one. I feel like,
I know. It was there.
Maybe Maine has one. That's where I went. But
I know. I wonder. So. There was not anything. There was not a program like that in Connecticut, so I had to go out of state.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which was fine. And Rhode Island is beautiful. Like Narragansett. We got to live in a beach house with a bunch of friends, like during, the school year. And, so it was like a really special place. Yeah. I love that.
So you did your tenure there, and then I guess which has been great. Your focus has been solid.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, that's rare. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's why I think I'm most fascinated by that. Just right off the bat, you're decorating your room and you're this is what I'm doing.
I've always been into, I don't know. I feel like making a space is like such an important thing. I don't know. It changes the whole mood in the room. You know what I mean? Like, the colors and just the feel of it. I don't know. It's always been, you want to like make your own little haven. You want it to be comfortable for yourself. You want to be cozy and I don't know, just a kind of way to escape in your own little space, I
think you're describing it very well.
Yeah.
We were talking about at the rope company, like our like 3 customers, the designers or retailers and then, direct, consumers and thinking about like designers specifically, like what are they doing?
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like I got the words out. I was like, they are creating feelings in each
Yeah.
room. Like
Yeah, that's a
basically,
good
I mean,
point.
it's beautiful, but
Yeah.
you know, it could be, this was just a very peaceful room and this one's cozy
Yes.
and this one's whatever. And now, especially like it went big for a while, designing
Yeah.
homes, like big space, which is
Right.
cool. But now like we're getting back, we're going small again.
Yeah.
There's a reason we had small rooms at the
Yeah,
get-go.
no kidding. Yeah.
Maybe anything in between. So you're like,
Yes.
I'm here in this space doing this thing.
Yeah,
I get this
absolutely.
feeling.
Yeah. I think that's important.
That just popped up in my head.
yeah,
when
no,
you were
that was
saying
really
that.
good. I like that. They're making feelings.
But yeah, so you went to college and then you came out and then you went right to Maine?
No, so I was living in Newport, Rhode Island for a little while, working at a baby boutique, like a high-end baby boutique, which is really fun. I've always worked in retail too, like on the side,
Right.
apparel, or the baby boutique was really fun. You know, like so happy and like just so fun to do that. And Newport's a really special place. I don't know if you've spent much time in Newport.
I haven't spent a lot of time, just
Yeah.
a couple times on sales and things like that. But
Yeah.
there's Newport and what's it in Providence? Yeah, so I've spent more time in Newport.
Yes,
just with a couple of our accounts there.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
really special.
Yeah, it's kind of like Portland, but like much smaller. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess more nautically, like if you can get more nautical than Portland, but
Right.
you know, I mean, a little more preppy and whatever,
Sure.
which is cool. But yeah, really fun little place to be. And then left Newport. I just felt like, you know, all right, I've had enough of this. What's my next move? And I actually came to visit a friend who was going to grad school up here. Went to a concert. We saw Ray LaMontagne.
Oh wow.
It was so, I mean, it was 2009 probably. And then I was like, wow, I really like Maine. I mean, growing up, I thought like, what's up there? It's so cold, you know, like, but it's not that much different than Connecticut really weather-wise.
Especially if you're on the coast.
Yeah. And it's so magical. It's like, you can be to the beach in 10 minutes. You can be in the mountains in 25 minutes. You can ski, you can bike, you can hike, you can do everything. Like there's so much going on. And I mean, Portland has changed a lot since I've been here even, but
Well, you know more than I do. But.
right. But it was cool when I came and it's cool now. And I feel like it's got to keep getting cool. I don't know how much cooler it can get,
It'll
but
stay cool forever.
yeah. So
Yeah. No, so you came to, so you're like, I want to move to.
yes. And it's the very most like unLauren thing I've ever done. Honestly, I called my friend who we're best friends from childhood. She was going to UNE. And I came up to visit. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, I think I'm going to move to Portland. Is that cool? Because she was looking for a roommate. She was trying to find a place. I was like, I'm going to just come up there. And she was like, okay, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Let's just do it. So
That's cool.
yeah, so I moved up and we rented a place in the West End. And yeah, I don't know. We just did that. And then eventually I met my husband. We moved out and this and that, but we're still really close and she lives.
But you had to come up here and support yourself, right?
Yes.
What did you do?
What did I do? I worked for an interior designer in town, kind of as a design assistant.
Okay. So what does that mean?
It's like keeping the resource library organized, which is like not fun.
What is the resource library?
It's like fabric samples, countertop samples, tiles, like colors.
All the samples from your vendors.
All the samples from the vendors. Yeah. Dealing with the reps that come in to give you new stuff.
Okay.
And then I would be, it was the most fun, I think, was like install days. So we would be at these gorgeous homes and you're just like making the house, you know, making the beds, putting everything together, filling the cabinets, filling, you know, the bookshelves and making the space, which is like the most fun.
Sure.
And I met like some of my great friends doing that too, which was awesome. So that was really fun, but I was, you know, interior designers are sometimes they're hard to work for. I guess when one creative is working for another.
I think that's
maybe
hard.
that's it.
Yeah. Anything when I'm not a natural creator, but I'm around a lot of creators all the time. My wife's a creator, you know, but I am idealistic.
Yes.
And stubborn.
But
so yeah, creative, like there's got to be one person making the calls.
Right.
And they have this taste and vision and style.
Yeah.
And, you know, they are essentially an artist, right? So
yes.
It's just like, they're trying to paint this picture and, you know, with somebody else's thoughts is like, no, that's how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was great. I learned a lot and had a lot of really fun experiences and got to be in a lot of really gorgeous homes that like I would never be in, you know?
Right.
Setting tables with $500 like Baccarat gold,
Man.
you know, like wine glasses and just ridiculously, you know, extravagant. But I left there and then was kind of just surfing around looking for something else. I kind of left very quickly. And then the opportunity at Colette came up and it was perfect. I mean, I was kind of sick of working in retail. That
was just a job posting you saw?
No, I got it through Erin Flett. I knew her. I don't even know how I knew her from.
Probably through the interior design world,
yes,
right?
Actually, yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's how I did. She said to me, like, Lauren, I think this would be a really good position for you. And she hooked me up with the owners at the time.
She probably sold there.
Yes. Yeah. They were meeting with her to do a lot of custom pillows, which was cool. So she put me in touch with them and then it just worked out from there. But I was kind of like, I don't want to go into retail again. I was kind of just burnt out from it because it's exhausting. But here I am. I'm still in retail all this time later.
You started a store.
I guess. Yeah.
But it's all, you can have different experiences in every different place. And
exactly. It's what you make it to.
Yeah.
Really.
And it's about the people around you and their attitudes towards everything.
Yeah.
And it can be, whatever you want to make it. So you ended up So what was your first how many people were at Colette?
Gosh, I feel like
Ish.
Maybe like 12 to 15 at
Really?
one point. Yeah. I mean, we had do you remember Megan Bolts? We had like an on-staff photographer.
Not
yeah.
Okay.
So we started pretty small and then we eventually took an office space upstairs.
Wow.
Where the photographer, graphic designer, I had an office up there. Karen had an office.
Okay.
And then we had all the girls on the floor, on the sales floor. A lot of part-timers,
Yeah.
But wonderful women who I'm still in touch with today because they were all mostly long-term,
Yeah.
It grew to be a pretty big operation. Everything was, photographed in-house.
I did not realize that. Yeah. Wow.
Everything was beautiful, beautifully done.
Right.
And we were doing that like artist series where we would like go interview artists and which was very cool. And I feel like almost ahead of its time. Like it was kind of the start of when people were starting to do that.
Yeah, people do a lot of that now. Like, I guess we're kind of doing that here now.
Right.
But that wasn't much of that going on then. I don't think.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah. What was your starting spot and kind of where you, or were you always have the same kind of, did you like progress in there at all?
I mean, she hired me to kind of be like a store manager, kind of like a general manager, oversee everything. So I was spending some time on the sales floor. I was merchandising a lot. I mean, like putting displays together but I mean, also like receiving purchase orders, merchandise, a small business. You do everything. Yeah. And Karen, the owner, had never been in retail before. She was more like she was in education prior to. She just had like this love of really beautiful things and wanted to create a space like that in Portland. Oh, cool. So it was kind of like, I kind of knew what I was doing, sort of. She had the vision and I was like, okay, I can help you with your vision. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I'm kind of that kind of person where I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Like whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Like you kind of fake it till you make it, I guess. And
you definitely got to put things in motion. You can only have things you can plan. Plan is important, but you just start doing.
Yeah. And I also am like, my husband always says I'm such a half-asser, but I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like you just have to get it going to like get it started. And then you can like fine tune from there. But he's like, very pragmatic and like everything precise in this. And I'm just like,
everybody's
come
different.
on, hurry up. Let's just do this, it's time. So I don't know.
Definitely.
It's different.
So that must have been about if you were the store kind of manager, that's probably what you were all the way through. How long were you there? I forget.
I was there for, I guess I was there from 2012 to 2016, 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 4 years.
Yep.
Because I opened in 2017, my store.
Okay.
So I started as a manager and then kind of Karen was like, well, I need somebody to come. I don't want to go buy alone. You have the textile background. So come with me and we'll start doing this together. And I was like, you want me to go to Paris? Are you kidding me? I was like, of course. Like, how could I ever say no to that?
Right.
So so that was amazing. Like such an experience.
What? Yeah. Was that like what was your kind of favorite part of that whole?
I think the travel and just I don't know. I guess meeting people like at trade shows, just having conversations with like other creatives, and I love to know the stories behind things. Like I'm always interested. My husband always says like you're like it's like the Spanish Inquisitions. Like 50 questions immediately off the bat. You have to know everything.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm just interested in people and how they do things and how you got where you are. And, you know, it's all part of the story. So
I probably get too deep on people too quick. I'm like asking them
no,
extremely
I think
personal
it's good.
questions
It's like
very
how
quickly.
you relate to people too, you know? It's like how you reform.
Like, I'm just curious. I just want to know you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Some people are quite, I mean, everybody's just
different.
That's all. And it's great. So yeah, what were your favorite thing was traveling and meeting the people. And I do like, I thought when we got into what we're doing, like trade shows is going to be, I'm like, traveling and exploring and doing it, but like there is a lot of great too, but like it's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
I mean, it's exhausting. I thought I was gonna like go see, you know, whatever.
Oh, sightsee. No.
Or do something. I don't know what I was thinking. But there was none of that.
Well, we had the easy job, like walking around, we get to pick what we like, look at beautiful things. You guys, that's so
set up
hard.
And take down.
Yeah.
But meeting the people is awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
And just being able to really talk, see things in person, talk to people.
Yeah. But selling your product is really hard too. Like all day long. I mean, you're there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? Like you have to be on. Mostly you're standing the entire day. Some shows are better than others. Like, are you guys still doing shows?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Do you do shop or do you do?
We did shop.
Yeah.
Are
you doing it again?
Atlanta.
In Atlanta you did it?
No.
Oh, no, with the Atlanta.
America's Mart.
Okay.
Yeah, we just did shop one time. Everybody said this time it was slower than it had been.
Yes, that's what I heard all over.
Yeah, which I think everything is just a little slower than it has been.
It's a weird time. Yeah.
But, I mean, they all have their niche or, you know, their unique spots. You got to find the ones that fit you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll go back or not. I haven't made that decision, but
I feel like the days of like New York now, like when you guys started doing shows, like
from what we were told, we got into shows basically at the end of the or
the heyday.
They'd already been everybody came to shows to write orders.
Yes,
you know, and that's where you got your orders for the year,
right?
So you better be walking out with a lot of orders.
A lot of money. Yeah,
and you know, and everything the internet was taking over and.
Right.
New York Now was intense. I don't know if you remember that.
Gosh,
but it was just like we got there and it was 3 big buildings.
Yeah.
They had just gotten rid of the piers.
Oh,
which were pretty big.
Okay.
And those buildings were full. And then like I swear the next year, like one of the buildings wasn't full.
Yeah.
And then like the next year another building. It was like
very
that fast
decline. Yeah.
And then the main building wasn't full.
Right.
And then
they were like,
and then they combined 2 or 3 shows and it couldn't even be full.
Right, the stationary
It was just like, it was. I don't understand that.
Yeah, with the internet, like and you can sell your things online. Like you can make all your money.
That.
Like you don't have to pay. They were charging an insane amount for these booths.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's like you can make that money by having your own website.
But
and,
we
like,
all would have kept going there. I think a lot of people, but the buyers are the ones that slowed up.
Yeah.
Like if the buyer's going to show up and place orders, great. Like I think there's a lot of value in that, even though it's a lot of time and effort and money to see things in person.
Yeah.
But
no, I think it's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
obviously I wish they were cheaper, but
yeah.
A lot of times they go where it's hard, especially like New York was New York was like letting everybody in if they had a business card.
Yeah.
And people were personally shopping there. And that was a problem.
Yeah.
And that drove buyers and exhibitors I think that was a big reason a lot of people left. And it was getting insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So that was hard, but
yeah.
So I was going to ask you too, what else what were some of your favorite parts like at school, you know, you were a tailor. What did you learn? What was your favorite part about being a tailor?
I guess I could go back to the people. Like, I mean, seriously, it's just like meeting people, like, what's your outfit for? Like, what do we, having, you know, like just learning the story behind what they were in for, I guess. I mean, I can't say like hemming pants is like a very exciting thing, you know?
Right.
But I mean, it's a good skill to have. So,
I love your skill set for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've done a little bit everything of what you need to know.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
yeah. So like, I mean, it's fun working with different fabrics, you know, just different, again, like to the fashion piece, like seeing what labels are coming through and how they're constructed, you know, like a Armani suit compared to like a Men's Warehouse suit. Like,
Sure.
so that part of it has always been very interesting to me too. And
Yeah.
the quality of fabrics and how they react to heat and which is kind of like the nerdy science part of it all. But
Right. That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know it all.
Yeah.
Every time you say the people, we had some like training on personality. Have you ever heard of DISC? The DISC personality.
No.
So there's, and I think it's mostly around communication styles, but there's DISC. So you're definitely a yellow I. So there's very, very people oriented and it's more extrovert.
Yes. Yeah.
And doesn't have to necessarily be details or anything like that.
Right.
It's very just like feeling good. Let's go. And
I love it.
Have people around.
Let
yeah,
it roll.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I don't have to take the quiz now. You
Yeah,
just told me what I am.
You're an I all day.
Awesome.
Yeah, my mom is too.
Oh, funny.
I'm a hard D. But, but so that's just, it was just cool every time I ask you something. It's about the people.
That's so funny. Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, whatever, there's a million personality tests now and different things, but I think we love taking them as a team.
Yeah, that's
and
really
learning
fun.
more about each other and learning about yourself a little bit more, I guess. Or it's just like, okay, hopefully you're saying, yeah, I guess that is me.
I know. How many people do you have?
It's just 5 of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Kept that's really
that.
funny. I'll take it and I'll report back. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, there's tons of free ones online.
Yeah, that's fun.
Of course, there's ones you could pay for that seem, but
we're not going to do that.
they always end up being the same.
There's
same
free
result.
available.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you talked a little bit about why you started Fitz and Bennett.
Yeah.
So can you just get into that a little bit more? Like, you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, for sure. You want to do your own thing. But yeah, tell me a little bit more like your vision and how that happened too. I mean, to take all that on, did you, just on the practicality side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, I love the entrepreneurial aspect. Like you said, I love the people. So there was a time where I was like, do I start like a collaborative of Maine makers or like small makers? Kind of like, remember Aesthetic Movement back in the day when they just had like, it wasn't as massive as they are now, but they had a couple really cool lines that they repped.
Okay.
And it was very curated, know. So you got a certain feel when you went to their showroom or their booth or whatever. And it was kind of, like shopping at a store that was already curated for you.
Sure.
So I was like, maybe I try and bring all these brands together and do something like that. But like, what does that really look like? And how, and then I'm taking another cut of your money that you could be making. And that doesn't seem fair either.
You mean basically just sign up for the Aesthetic Movements line?
Sort of.
Kind
yeah.
of. I mean,
like
not just
doing
that
kind of
but
thing,
that idea,
basically. Yeah.
Sure.
And that's the other part of like the wholesale side of things where like, I'm not a huge fan of reps, which is, there are some
so everybody knows listening, Aesthetic Movements is a rep group.
Is a rep group, yes.
Yeah,
and reps
home
sell,
and gift.
they sell for smaller brands who might not have the exposure.
Manufacturers,
yes, and they cover a certain, geological area or whatever.
Yeah, they're national, but
yes,
they
they're
have
huge.
They have a rep in each area.
Each territory.
Yeah, if you sign up with Aesthetic Movements, you have everything covered.
Exactly, which is very cool and appealing for small brands, I'm sure. But
they all have all this stuff has its pros and its cons.
It does, yeah. But again, like with the internet so hot and Instagram, like there's so many ways for small makers to get out there on their own. So that kind of thing kind of seemed like maybe it was fading away. So I was like, I guess with my skills, I know how to run a store. Like I have tons of retail experience. I know how to do these things. Like, okay, maybe I should do it. And my husband really pushed me to just go for it, which was awesome.
What's his name?
Nick. Yeah, he's amazing. He's the reason I have this store, honestly. He was like, let's figure it out. Yeah, he did a good job. He's like, let's figure it out. And then it's like, oh my God, that's so much money that you need to, where is this money going to come from?
Well, that's what I was saying on the practicality side of things. Yeah.
We didn't have any kids then. Well, we had one on the way, but for a long time it was like, is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? Like it's never the right time to do something. Again, back to that person that you just have to do it, but it always is. So we kind of just went around to a couple banks and said like, okay, here's
our vision.
Yeah, here's our vision. Here's I had to write a business plan.
I was going to say, did they make
stressful? Yeah. And I thought I was doing a terrible job. And the guy was like, this is amazing. This is a great business plan. Right. I was like, okay, cool.
That's
great. You have to like assess your people who will be your competitors essentially and, market research in your area. And it really does make you question like, oh my God, is this going to work? And a friend of mine who owns a store also in Portland was like, don't worry about all the other stuff. She's like, this is the inside of your head. And like, that's the inside of their head. And it's always going to be different. So, and there's room for everybody really. And we have such great shopping in Portland, like amazing home, great fashion. Like it's very cool. And I really do think there's room for everyone. So I'm glad I didn't like let that stop me being like, I'm not good enough. Nobody's going to like me, which like sometimes I still feel that way. We all do. Yeah. So we got a bank loan by the grace of God. And we did a lot of the construction ourselves. My husband is like a DIY, loves to like build and do that kind of stuff. So we ripped that place apart. And it was a bank office, the location that we're at. You guys
like
now.
Wes and Sarah?
I mean, like
not that level?
Not that level. I mean, they're really very talented for sure.
They are talented.
And so we did our version of that, I guess, sort of.
On the brick and mortar side.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you really just want to kind of create like a white box for these brands to shine in. And again, like you have to create little spaces within. And like, I like everything I merchandise by color. So it's like making sure you have all this stuff that's going to kind of work together in one space and
merchandise within. I like that.
Yeah. So,
or build space within, you said. How did you just
like just create little...
you're building spaces within.
Yes, within.
That's what you said,
So when we rented the space, when we saw the space...
Does that mean like shelving?
Some shelving, and like he put up a big, separating wall that's now half is our back room, but it's essentially the end of the, the store.
Okay.
But we have two sides of the building are windows, like rows of windows, because we're on the corner. So we have amazing natural light, which is great.
So you're in this place that you originally started?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
That's an awesome spot.
Yeah, it's an awesome spot. And when I looked at it, I was like, this is weird. Like, and we're also kind of on the outskirts of, we're on the corner of Silver and Milk Street, which, across from the Crooked Mile, but we're just away from Exchange Street and just up from Commercial Street, which are like the two big, busy areas. So I was like, okay, well, it might just take a little while for people to find us. And they did eventually. And it's kind of like you can sneak a little bit on parking over here. You can, what I mean? It's not crazy busy. We don't get a ton of foot traffic, which actually has been great. I don't think I'd be able to handle all the foot traffic and the looky-loos and people who are just...
I was going to say, not all the foot traffic
Yes,
is great,
and the cruise ship people and, there's a lot of...
They need to be more intentional to show up with it. But, man, that, like the cobblestone and the architects around, when I dropped stuff off at Witten, I was like, whoa, there they are. And I was like, wow, that's a cool spot.
Really cool spot.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So it's really worked out and I love it there. We just signed
it was big.
Yeah, it's
much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it seems tiny. I feel like we're bursting at the seams sometimes, but I am like...
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
I'm a lobsterman. You get a bigger boat and you're like, if this is just a little bit bigger, I'd be just right. And then you get that one and you're like, crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we can fill up any space really. But it's been great. We just signed another 5 years, like I guess last year or something. So we'll be there for another 5. And then hopefully we don't get priced out of Portland because it's getting expensive, you know? But it's a great spot.
Everybody's got to go up. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
all good.
Exactly. So you started this, you got it going, and you just so it just you're like, man, I think I can do this.
Yes. Yeah.
And you picked the store because you had retail skills, and so what was the? I guess you've talked about the inspiration a little bit, but like, why not go? Do more designing or not that you're not designing in a store.
But I don't have like the technical skills to go to say like I'm a designer and you know what I mean, or a decorator even. And also that's I feel like a really hard thing because you're working one-on-one with someone and like they really have to trust your vision or like it's not going to work out. You know what I mean? That would just be really hard. I feel like bending over to like help somebody get there. You know, like if you're a creative and you're an artist, it's like you want to do your thing, you know, and you just want these people to love your thing and that's it. So I felt like with a store, I could do a bunch of different things and have like real high-end stuff and have the lower price things and have vintage and have new and just a mix of everything that I always feel like anyone can walk in and find something for someone like, or for themselves. Like I like to think that everybody can find something that they like and that they can afford too. Like that's really important to me.
Yeah.
Cause I don't like to walk into a store and feel like, oh my God, like I shouldn't be in here, or you know what I mean? Like you're less than or whatever. Like, my dad used to make us like stand against the wall if we would go into a shop. He's like, stand here and be quiet. Like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And that was like, you know, I mean, I don't want anyone to have to do that with their kids in my shop because I have kids. And so we have
some places.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, like, don't touch the ceramics or like put your sticky fingers on things, and that's fine. But we have a little kids section, and I have like little toys and stickers, and I'm always just trying to like distract so that their parents can shop too, because like it's hard to go shopping with your kids. I know, you know, it's tough. And if you just need something quick, you want to make sure your kid is distracted in a nice way.
Yeah. So what was your vision for the store? You know, why'd you pick retail?
Yeah.
And you were getting into, you didn't want the store to be so like you couldn't
I wanted it to be accessible, friendly, like I just approachable, you know, like, and I want to make sure that the girls who work at the store too are, you know, outgoing and want to have conversations. And yeah, because we do get like the husbands, the boyfriends who like begrudgingly come in, you know, but then they like it, you know, and they're like chatting with us and they're like, you've got a nice place here. And we're like, thanks, you know, I love to like change minds like that. Yeah.
So you get started.
Yes.
And you said, I thought, you know, some stuff from K. Calais would sell really well, you know, and these different lines, and you figure out what's not working.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you kind of go through that like process as a, you know, as a retailer, as an entrepreneur, and just yourself and like figuring that out, like, you know, and how you've progressed and.
Yeah, it really is about, I mean, I hate to use the word vibe because I feel like it's really overused, but the vibe in the store and, you
like
know.
the ethos.
Yes, exactly. And if something feels a little off and you're questioning it as a buyer, you know, maybe it's just not going to work. You know, I guess like I just try to trust my gut. Mostly I just pick out things that I really like and things that I would put in my own home.
Okay.
There are occasionally some things where I'm like, I probably wouldn't buy this for myself, but I know that people are going to love it and it's cute and I know it will sell. So we'll throw that in there, you know?
So you know your customers.
Yes. Yeah. You have to like look at the reports and read the numbers because that's where the truth is, you know? Like you can,
so true.
You can love something so much and nobody else likes it. So it sucks, but you got to get rid of it, you know?
We design products. Yeah. Hannah and I are going through colors and whatever. We're picking them all out. I'm like, well, okay, here. It's like always the line of, we think this is really cool.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, is anybody going to buy that?
I know. It's so hard. And you don't know until you start testing things that are adjacent to that, or you just bite the bullet and do it. And then maybe you have to put it on sale. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
The thing that sticks out to me in this conversation that's just popped into my head. One time we went to America's Mart, you know, the show.
Yeah.
And Sarah Jessica Parker was going to be a speaker there.
Oh my gosh.
And so I held down the booth while Renee went and saw, and I was excited for her to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were just starting to kind of figure this out too. Like we want to do color. We want to show, it's not about showing people that we can do design and be creative, but it's just what we like to do. You know, Hannah wants to do color and do all these different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you make color and it doesn't sell a lot, right? So like she said, I think she was talking about a shoe line or something she designed. She was like, we all know the neutrals are going to sell the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all there is to it. We know those are going to be the ones that are going to basically pay for everything and make you the money. But like, we need to do the colors and the pops and the design, the unique stuff. That's what draws people in and to show people kind of what you can do.
That's so true.
Maybe I just don't quote me on her on that. No, but that was the general idea, I think. And that was like,
it's true.
I've remembered that ever since.
I mean, you see like a pop of orange or like, you know, against like a sage or whatever. You're like, ooh, like it excites your eye and you want to, you're like gravitate towards it. And whether that's what you pick or another one in the line that's more neutral, which is probably what you're going to pick. It does. It really does bring people in, I feel like.
Yeah, and it creates a certain feeling. I mean, I think there's some places that like major in color.
Yeah.
But they've really hit some niche and people come to them for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said some things didn't work out at first. Yeah. So obviously I guess they just don't sell, but like what was that kind of process like? What did you think you were going to be? Because that's what you bought items for.
Yeah.
And what did you end up kind of being? Or
I mean, I guess I thought it would be more like home decor. Like you would come in and you would buy like new pillows for your couch, or you would buy a new coverlet for your bed, or because we sold a lot of that stuff at K. Colette. More, larger pieces to decorate your home.
Yep.
And that just wasn't working. You know, I was selling a ton of books and like cutting boards and candles and lotions and smaller items that people were gifting to other people, bringing as a housewarming gift, wedding gifts, or a little treat for themselves or a little treat for somebody else or whatever. And so I just was like, okay, I need to lean more into those things because that's what's working. And I still do. We still sell pillows and really beautiful throw blankets and some larger items too. And artwork is huge. I mean, art is a massive seller for us. We started with Sarah's paintings on the wall.
Do you sell any originals there?
Yeah, when we first started, it was all originals. We were her first retail location,
Cool.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's become, you know, when she first started doing prints, we were like, you know, she's like, I don't know, is this going to work? I'm like, I don't know, let's see. Well, guess what? It works. People love prints. I mean, we sell them all day long. Yeah. They're beautiful. Her work just like connects with people.
Yeah. And it's quality.
And
like
it's quality.
She's making quality prints.
Totally. Yeah,
she's
she
not
really
just
is.
Putting out pieces of paper.
Yeah. And they just really go with the store very well. The
I think
colors
it's so
are
cool
beautiful.
that she makes them. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. That's
a lot going
awesome.
on over there.
Yeah.
So artwork has been huge. And I like, you know, because she's from Maine, people love a Maine product, which another thing I didn't think I would be so Maine focused. I mean, I did, but you know, I thought I would have some things sprinkled in from Maine artisans here and there.
Yeah.
But it's become a huge part of the business because people love it. And I love to support local businesses as well, of course. Bonus if you're like a mom or like, you know, like I love you and your wife. That's, you know, she's a mom supporting you guys.
She is a mom, yeah.
You know, but I don't know. There's something about, like hearing the stories. People come in, they're visiting from away. They want something from Maine. They don't necessarily want a crafty or like folky type craft that you would normally find at a craft fair. And that's the stuff that I kind of avoid because it just doesn't go with our aesthetic, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Finding that balance between kitsch and craft. Yeah. What's hard about kitschy or whatever, if, you know, some people come to Maine, they want to bring something back from Maine or wherever they go.
Yeah.
Find the right things that people like, but do it in a classy way, you know?
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't want to buy that. Just like, like I kind of like that saying, but it's really like cheap. And just, like,
exactly.
It's literally just like words thrown on the cheapest thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to be like home goods or like, you know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff, but you want it to feel like special, but like fun. I don't know. And I mean, we miss the mark sometimes, you know, like not all these things work out.
Oh yeah, that's part of life.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
or people really, there's just, everybody wants like a Portland magnet or like something, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, well, I'm sorry, you can go back down to Commercial Street for that. Like that's just, you're not going to find that up here. And that's okay. Like I don't have to fill that space for those people. But you know, we'll have something else for them or whatever. So so we try to support Maine brands and do it in that way, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess we talked about it a little bit, but like, how'd you end up finding your niche here in Portland, and what were some of the challenges? I guess you've talked about quite a bit of that already, but is there any more to elaborate on there?
I just feel like, I mean, it takes time, you know, like, you know, you can't like open your doors and expect everybody to come running, you know? I mean, I'm no one, nobody knows me. It was kind of like, you know, a lot of these brands or stores now start, you know, with an online shop or they do pop-ups or something like that first. And it's a really good way to like build an audience and you know, foundation. And then they open up a shop. Like that's a great idea. People should do that, you know?
How does the pop-up thing work? People have said, hey, you should do a pop-up, you know, a little bit.
I don't know. I mean, it's a hit or miss sometimes, really. It depends. It's got to be, have you guys ever done Thompson's Point or anything like that?
We've never done any pop-ups.
You should.
Zero.
So that's like more of a maker's market, but it's like a cool kind of curated thing. I feel like you guys would do really well. Yeah, Thompson's Point over like by Bissell, you know, in South Portland there. Okay. They have a lot of like do you know Near Native Candles?
I've heard of them.
Okay. She's awesome too. So a lot of local makers go and you just sign up for, you know, I mean, I think you can sign up for a couple shows. You can do the whole season. And a ton of people go to shop and buy things. So that might be worth.
And that doesn't bother if they have other like accounts there?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing I think, like territory protection is tough because there are so many little shops in Portland.
Right.
And we're all like fishing from the same pond, essentially.
It's hard. It's harder in areas like that.
Yeah, it's hard. But I don't like little markets like that. Don't.
If anybody ever figures that out, let me know.
Yeah. I don't think anybody
on
will.
your end or on
and I mean, I think there's people who
end.
really care about holding territory for every little thing that they have. And then there's other people who are just like, I don't know. I feel like, again, back to that point, like this is the inside of my head. That's the inside of your head.
Yeah.
You create your space. You have your own customer. Everything's going to be a little bit different. Like if we share some things, fine, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I try not to get too like up in a huff about
too worked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it gets kind of weird if everybody knows what we're talking about. Just in retail locations or retail in general, like there's a certain amount of product in the store and they've, like
they want to
Lauren has selected her manufacturers and stuff you're going to sell. And, you want to be unique. So try not to overlap or things like that with similar products.
Yeah. You can have like zip code protection.
So as a manufacturer, we can protect basically all we want or not want. Everybody goes from being super protective to like, we don't protect at all.
Right. Exactly.
So, I think I feel like the bigger your line is, the less protect. It's just like, hey, we have a lot of things.
Yeah, you can all choose.
Yeah, choose. Totally. If you want to be unique, then choose something else.
Yes.
Like, but those are my best sellers. Well, it's like, I just, we love to help, but we have we have less right now. Yeah. So we do all we can. We want people to stay unique.
Yes.
And it's not in every shop, and we want the right partnership. So we really don't just like take orders anymore.
Good.
We
you kind of vet them.
But we want it to be a partnership. We want to make sure it's going to work. We don't want anybody to just order one time.
Right.
And like didn't work out good for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't want them to come back the next year and say
didn't
we still got a couple left and
Yeah.
act like they did a good job when really I'm like, well, that was a waste of your time and money.
Well, and a waste of your time too, because you could have been selling somewhere else, making
Well,
more
I mean,
money,
it was one order for us, I guess,
Right.
but like, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah,
we want
you're
to
right.
make sure that it's a good fit. We don't want to waste their money, time, space, whatever it is. So
partnership is a good word to describe it.
Yeah, that's what we try to find. We don't.
How many stores?
It's hard though when somebody tries to order stuff and you're like,
it is really hard. And with Fair, are you guys on Fair at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other. I feel like that's hard because do you have zip code protection on Fair?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we have set up there. I think we kind of do.
Because that's a tough one because it's like anybody can order.
Yeah.
You could, somebody could be ordering for themselves.
Yeah.
It's just like.
I've always been on the fence about Fair. My team had to kind of bring me along there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really great, it was so helpful.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. And during COVID, when shows weren't going on and you needed to find some things.
Well,
but
we make stuff here in Maine.
Yeah.
By hand, quality stuff with rep groups and all these things. The percentage that they take is just, it's too much for us. Yeah. And then also we want to be represented a certain way.
Yes.
And which Fair is just a platform. That's fine. And they make things, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It looks really
They
nice.
do a good job.
Yeah.
But like a rep group, I don't know what that guy, every person in a rep group, what they're going and saying to other people.
Absolutely.
Like they are the face of our company.
Yeah.
Like, we just decided we're going to do all that internal plus.
That's good.
I feel like you almost have to like make a product knowing you're going to have a rep and take that huge cut out of it.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
I mean,
really
it changes
expensive.
the price
I feel like
drastically.
the percentages are literally set up for people that have always brought stuff from overseas.
Yeah.
That are used to those margins.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think it's just like, well, everybody, this is no big deal.
Right.
15, whatever it is.
I think things are changing and I want to talk to the owner of a company. I don't want to talk to a rep who's like showing me all of their lines. Like, let me show you what I've got in my bag of tricks. It's like, no, I want you to bring me lines that, are going to work in my store that go with my aesthetic. Like, don't bring me things that if you thought about it for 2 minutes, would not fit with my store. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, put a little thought into it. And I want to talk to the owners and give them all my money instead of like breaking off a big chunk of it for somebody else. It's not fair.
Right. I do try to, even buy anything now, I try to go like online. Direct. I try to buy direct from them.
Absolutely.
I mean, it might be more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like ridiculous, then I'm like, I got to make a call.
I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Because what I'm worried about is like, we all know, if you go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, whatever, like if you get a brand name there, it's not the same thing.
No, yeah, it's a specific line for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a like, hey, how about getting it to this price point?
Right.
It's a lesser quality thing. Like you get stuff on Amazon now, it's the same way.
Right.
So, I'm a little bit like, okay, it's that much of a difference.
Right,
So I got to really think that over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, it's nice to go direct, but I'm sure there's great, if you had a great rep that really cared about you, would look it over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure you have some good ones out there. That
yeah,
really
I'm
care
sure there
about
are
you.
great ones out there.
Yeah, like, hey, I have something that is great for you. It's not going to show the whole line every time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just finding the right person.
Yeah, so let's get into quality a little bit.
Yeah.
We love, this podcast is basically about quality and timeless design and Maine, which we've all been hitting on all these things.
Yeah.
But tell me like what quality means to you and maybe to your store specifically.
Yeah.
Just in general, what are your kind of thoughts?
Yeah. Quality. I mean, handmade items, I feel like are always, better quality for sure than like something that's made in a factory, somewhere, who knows what's going on. So we try to, as often as we can, handmade ceramics, the fabrics that are used. I mean, I feel like that's a huge piece of quality too. Certain thread counts, certain types of thread, certain, materials used in blankets and, that are going to withstand the test of time. Like that I don't know, like being someone who's at home with my kids, like I want something nice that I can throw in the washer and maybe the dryer that's not going to fall apart or like get all nasty after, a couple washes.
Right.
So it's important, you have to invest a little bit more money into that kind of thing. So those are important pieces to, spend your money on. And then like sometimes I feel like the trendy little things that, you just want to like grab even like Halloween decorations or something, you know what I mean? Okay. You want to grab a quick little thing, like it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing ever, probably the kids are going to break it anyway.
That's true.
So, maybe you can skimp a little bit there, but the more, I feel like natural fabrics are always better. They wash and wear better than anything that has a synthetic in it. So 100% cotton, pillows, quilts. We have some gorgeous hand block printed items.
Natural those things, I mean, I should know this, but I don't. So natural fabrics wash and wear better than...
I think so. Oh, because over time, like the synthetic stuff breaks down. You know what I mean? And so if
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't quote me. I'm pretty positive
well,
that
I'm
that's
just
the way
saying in your use, that's what you've seen?
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah. And that's what 100%, I try and do like 100% cotton or,
that's great.
Whatever. Because it does, I mean, of course, like depending on the thread density, like things can wear through, they can become threadbare. But like overall, those are the things that are gonna...
You kind of have a thread count standard in your head.
Right. Yeah. But then it's like, what's that thread mixed with? You know what I mean? And that's where things get, people are like, I have to have these 400 thread count sheets. It's like, well, if that thread is garbage, then it's not going to, you're going to be sweating all night and you're not going to feel good. And these are not going to, they're going to pill and do all that. So I always feel like natural fibers are like where it's at, like what I gravitate towards the most. So that kind of thing I think is important.
Yeah, definitely.
So that helps answer your question.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, as you talked about, like something that just stood out when you were saying that was, the quality. And as a mom, like things that I can just throw in and it's going to last and wear well. But and then talking about the thread counts, like, that's a high thread count. But like, if it's not with this nice material, you're literally going to sweat all night.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
that
people
is not good. I do not like sweating when I sleep.
No, God, no. I need it cold. I need it like 65 degrees. I feel like people get very like the high numbers people think are the better things in life or, and then thinking about quality with candles and fragrances. And I mean, for how long were we all like poisoning ourselves with these like Yankee candles just in our homes, making everything black with, whatever was in them. It's like, that's an important thing. You want to like spend good money on beautifully made, handmade candles too.
What is a good candle?
That are like soy or coconut wax. They have like a really even burn, a low burn temperature.
And those are natural,
yeah, more natural, without all the chemicals and all that stuff. So just the more natural, the better. Like in fabrics, in candles, in, certainly like skin products and everything, which is like hard for us in the U.S. because there are not a ton of rules about, what's on the market. So, but that's important too. We try and carry really nice hand creams and body lotions and things that are safe for us and for the earth. That's important.
Yeah. And as you talk about natural stuff, it just makes you, think of timeless.
Timeless and
that blend of quality and timeless. We talk about on here, but
the things that last forever, and the things that you probably have something from your grandparents or whatever, that you've had forever. That's a natural fabric because they didn't have anything that wasn't natural back then. That's just still kicking. Yeah, it just worked. It's like back to basics. It doesn't have to be so complicated.
So what at this point, what does Maine mean to you?
Yeah, Maine is just. I'm so comfortable here. It's my family. The community is so wonderful. There's so much cool stuff going on. It's I love all the ages in Maine, the kids that are growing up in Maine. I love, people who are our age just doing really cool stuff, having young families and starting businesses and just, restaurants and stores and eateries and all that, just changing things, from what they were at one point, which is, I'm sure there's some really great things that are still hanging around, but it's just, new blood, new life, breathing new life into the area. And then the older generations are pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
My dad spent a summer here, in the 70s or something. He lived here in the 70s. And then they have his family, him and his brother had a hunting camp up in Cutler.
Okay.
So he has, so he has ties to Maine.
Yeah.
But we never came here as a kid. So it kind of was when I moved up here or when I first came up here and he was like, oh, we have a place up in, and I was like, what? I didn't know that, I felt like I had been robbed. What do you mean you have a place in Maine? And not that we're going to go spend our time at this raggedy old hunting camp, but what's this all about? Tell me the story.
Ways.
Yeah, it's a long way. So it's there's just a story behind everything. I don't know. It's just beautiful here.
A story behind everything.
Yeah, I feel like there is. And that's what, kind of at the store. I love to tell the story behind everything too. So yeah.
What are some of your favorite stories of things in your store?
Oh gosh. So we carry this really beautiful line called Gemini, and they're based in Paris. The owner is from India, but actually her mother-in-law lives in Brunswick, Maine, which is wild. I think I saw the line. I don't know how I came across it. Maybe at a trade show in Paris or something, and just loved it for years. But, so I reached out when I was opening the store and she was like, yes, we would love to be in Maine. We're not in Maine, but my mother-in-law is in Maine. And I was like, what? It's just crazy the weird connections that you make,
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, that's not even part of their story to me, but it's a story to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
yeah.
That's what's really cool.
Feels like everybody has a little connection to Maine or in some way or another, at least a lot of the people that we talk to.
Summer camps.
Yes, summer camps. One. Oh my gosh, such a big one, which is a whole other world to me. I'd love to hear about summer camps. And then as a parent, I'm like, that sounds like heaven, sending your kid away and they have to be outside playing. They don't have access to any sort of tech at all. That sounds amazing. The price tag is a whole other thing to be discussed, but it sounds awesome. I just feel so lucky that my kids get to grow up in such a magical place.
And where everybody sends their kids to go to summer camp.
Yeah. And we have we call them outdoor kids. They just want to be outside all the time.
That's great.
We're starting at 6 a.m. when we get out of bed. And, Benny's like, I want to go outside. I'm like, it's dark and it's cold and we got to eat,
Yeah.
But it's just an awesome place. So I love all those, sorry, I got off topic, but
no, you didn't.
Just, I don't know, all the stories behind things and, connections back to Maine in some way.
Lots of story and connections. Yeah. No, it's really neat. I usually, if I think about Maine, or others, it does end up being a story.
Yes.
I might not say that.
Yeah.
But it might not be the first thing they point out. It might be more geographical or something about the landscape or something like that. But essentially, they're all our stories because we're in it.
Yeah, totally. We have this really cool book at the store by this photographer named John Duncan. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Take It Easy, and it's photographs of Portland and Maine in the 70s, just this beautiful book of all of these photographs and people from the 70s, just from his travels and his experiences. And they are just beautiful. And he writes little stories about who the people are, whether they were strangers to him or if they were important people to him. He writes about it in the book. And it's just like a gorgeous, thing. And he's really sweet. He's local. Anytime I get a shipment of books in, he will come in and sign like all 24 of them. And he writes like,
that's nice.
Hope you enjoy this book. And he spends, like 2 hours like chatting with us and telling us more stories about Maine and like all of these things. And that's just it. I love it. It's like community. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's just so fun and, makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And then you get to go home with a story and tell your people about it, So
yeah, story
it's fun.
is huge. It's connection.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was going to ask you, is Nick from Maine?
He is. He's from Wiscasset.
Wiscasset?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is, you kill me. He's 41.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, I was worried because I played sports against Wiscasset pretty hard. So I'm like,
how old? You're young though. You're like 30. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He was into tennis and soccer and. But you're younger.
I'm 35.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you guys missed each other. Yeah.
But in high school we battled Wiscasset pretty hard.
Funny.
Georges Valley was like everybody was our number one enemy.
Oh, okay.
I think we were just very physical.
Right. Sure. You just come out swinging.
I guess. I don't know.
That's so
kind
funny.
of rough. I don't know if it's because it's kind of a lobsterman type crowd or something, but we were physical, and it was just like, it seemed like every time we were playing somebody, it was like arch enemy number one. It was very weird.
That's so funny. All that boy energy.
Maybe that's how everybody took out.
Yeah.
But I know like that's how other places thought about us showing up.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, again, like back to the stories, like I love that Maine is like the juxtaposition of like these beautiful, like well-kept summer homes for these people who come from away. And then but then the people of Maine are known as like rugged and like, I don't know. There are so many descriptors I feel like go around. And then people always talk about, the Maine accent and all, which I feel like I don't hear very often, honestly.
Oh yeah. You're not further.
I mean, you probably hear it a lot. Yeah.
Or on the radio listening to Lobsterman.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Or far enough north.
Yeah.
But more east.
Yes.
I would say
Cutler.
Maybe north.
I'm sure Cutler is
Cutler would be perfect spot if you want to hear a good Maine accent.
Yeah. But it's just, there's just so many different people, different opinions, it's just like a very interesting place.
I used to have much more of a Maine accent.
Did you?
If you're at home or something.
Gotten rid of it a little bit.
Well, I just, I think sometimes if people hear it, if they might think, I think Maine accent, there's a billion different versions of the accent. So, but if one sentence could sound, from lack of a better term, redneck or dumb or something,
right.
If I'm trying to be a professional business person,
I know.
I didn't like make any massive effort on that. I just think maybe semi-consciously kind of pronouncing things clearer or something like that.
I know. Yeah, someone did say recently to my husband, he's like, "Oh, so you're not from Maine, right?" And he was like, "I am. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from Midcoast, And he was like, "Oh, you don't have an accent." And I was just like,
"Yeah, you wouldn't find many people, I don't think, in Wisconsin.
I don't think so.
Maybe a little inland, but once you start getting east." More and more, and then inland a little bit, you definitely run more into that.
Yeah.
And if they grew up on a farm or on a fishing thing, it's just more.
Yeah.
It's just much stronger.
I feel like I'm from the land of no accent. Like Connecticut is like, we're just so boring. Like we have no inflection in our voice, So
I know. I guess maybe that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to speak English well.
Right.
But,
well, you do a good job speaking English well.
Like on Charlotte's Web, how many times have we watched that? When the goose says, "You speak very well."
Oh yeah,
she says that.
That's funny.
To Wilbur, but I don't have any kids.
Yeah, no, not at all. You just read that every night before bed by yourself.
Yeah, or watch the movie by myself, falling asleep.
Sure.
But so what is the growing up in Connecticut and then being here or going back? Like, what is where you were in Connecticut? Is there much difference? And you guys live right in Portland, pretty close?
We live in Wyndham, so we're 20 minutes to Portland. Right. We lived in Portland for a long time, and then we built our house in Wyndham.
Portland's basically part of your life.
Yes.
That's like the suburbs of Portland.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Where I grew up? How is it different? Where I grew up is really like a summer town. Most houses are summer houses.
Okay.
My parents, my mom summered there when she was little. So we ended up there. She just loved it. And it's right on the beach. It's beautiful, quiet, calm. They had a great school system. I mean, it was like a cool place to grow up. There's just not much going on. You know what I mean?
Is there any big differences between Connecticut and Maine to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
take that as big or small as you want to take it. But
I don't know. I guess just like the amount of things that are like happening. Like there's not a ton of like at least from where I'm from in Connecticut,
Sure.
there's not a lot of ton of like up and coming restaurants and new exciting things. Like we go there and I'm like, where do you guys get food? Like there's no good restaurants. There's like not that like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods are like the end all be all, but like there's nothing like that down there. And yeah, I don't know. I guess so. It's a little more like Portland. Obviously, is more urban.
Yeah,
and just a young families, a lot of kids here, and not so much there.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think maybe there were when I was
think
younger.
You're describing more just like the Portland kind of life too. Yeah, it sounds like the Connecticut place you almost sounds more like a lot of the
It's like
Maine.
A retiree kind of area. Like it's beautiful, and I love to go back there and bring the kids to the beach and everything. But it's like a little snoozy, you know? Yeah, a little tired down there.
Yeah, your people are. You need stuff around. Going on, sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I need to talk to people.
Need to talk to people. That's right. So, what do you have coming up new and exciting?
New and exciting.
Anything
things.
like
Gosh.
things. What's your vision for the store?
My vision for the store. I mean, just to keep growing, of course, I'm just happy to be here after COVID, I think that was such a weird time and everything is always changing in the retail industry too,
Yeah. What do you see changing?
I feel like,
what do you see? Yeah. For trends and
I don't know. There's like highs and lows and, for trends, I don't even know. I'm like not a very good trend person, again.
But you must see people, hey, this was selling really well. Now it's not anymore.
Yeah,
but these
that's
other
true.
things
Yeah. There's always lines like that like you cycle through very, very quickly. And so you like reorder and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe everybody who wanted that already got it. And now they want something new and different,
Okay.
So we're always trying to bring in new lines. I'm always looking for more Maine made items. But again, I say that like I'm picky, and I feel like I have to be to keep the store the way that, the vision of the store and just the feel of it authentic to what it is.
Right.
So not everything is going to be right for the store, and that's okay.
Right.
But yeah, I'm always looking for more artwork and, that kind of thing is important. And I'm going to really work on our website this year. Web is tough, we have this website.
Do you sell anything on there now?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a ton. It was very busy during COVID, which was great.
Right.
But it has kind of died down. But we do have a lot of customers from far away who come visit during the summer and they buy from us over Christmas or holidays or for birthdays or whatever, which is amazing because they're choosing me, they're choosing us from far away.
They're basically saying, I want to support you.
I know, which is amazing and very sweet and kind. So
also they trust your professional curation and where you get things.
Yeah, which is awesome. So I want to have more of a web presence for those people and offer more of what we have online, in the store online. Because it's hard to get everything online and to keep the inventory up, with web sales and in store. So now that our oldest is in kindergarten, this is the first time I've had full-time childcare, so I'm feel like a real human again.
Right.
Sort of. And so I'm really just trying to focus on doing that and because I like to do everything myself, I'm wanting to learn how to do all that.
That's neat.
And, I'm very blessed. I have a sister who's a graphic designer and an art director at a larger company. So she's really helpful to me.
Is she in Maine?
She's in Maine. Yeah, she's in Portland. She was living in New York during pre-pandemic, and then she moved up here when that all went downhill, which I feel so lucky to have her here.
Yeah, that is really nice to have.
And she's very... she has a great eye, so I trust her eye. Sometimes we disagree on things, but it's nice. Yeah, but she's a professional, so I usually give in. I'm like, fine, you're right.
I know. I never know when to, trust.
Yeah.
It depends. If you have your vision, you have to stick with it
Totally.
Sometimes I'll... Yeah. Usually, working in the marketing company or anybody, it's just after a while, I'll do a lot of... and once I trust them, I pretty much...
Yeah, you let it go a little bit.
Let them go. If you hire an interior designer here, I heard Caleb Johnson one time talk about, or some that, or any of these architects. Yeah. It's just yes, tell us what you want. Give us some direction, but if you're not ready to you hired us because we're experts in this area.
Right.
If you don't like the stuff that we do and then, our style and what we do, then
maybe it's not the right fit.
Right. Maybe it's not really the right fit.
Yeah.
Like you let them run. If you came to us and you like what we do, let
us do our thing.
Give us good direction, but trust us some too. But I also remember working with a marketing company and who made great, beautiful things. And then talking to somebody there, and they said usually like our best looking stuff is when the brand itself, they have a great eye and they are very particular. Like we'll give them a lot of stuff. It's a partnership. It works together. But like the people who are very like decisive and give great direction, usually the best creations come out of.
That's interesting.
So they have a good eye.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and they're confident about it too, which makes a huge difference.
Right.
Like
that's a huge thing. Like with Hannah, my wife, when she's designing, like she comes in, like she's decisive when we're making aesthetic calls or different calls.
Yes.
Like she's just like, this is what I'm like, all right, sweet. Because I'm, I can learn and I have a decent eye, let's say.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'm just like, I don't know what to do for a call.
Right. Exactly.
I always call them 50-50s. But
yeah.
But that is neat. So you have you just want to keep kind of growing. And
just keep growing and stay. People are like, oh, would you ever open another store or expand? But I don't know. I'm not really in it for that. I love the feeling of like just one little shop. Like that's so special to me, growing up like in these coastal towns, like there were always these special little gift shops and you would go in there for any special thing that you needed or whatever. And it was always the owner or, the same people in there. And that's kind of the feel that I like, like just,
I think that's got to come like more now. Like, like you said, they just got back into school. Like you do one thing, do it really well.
Yeah.
And you got to feel really good. Like, wow, I kind of maybe have this down.
Yeah.
Maybe I could probably replicate this somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like that would just come into your head someday.
Yeah.
I mean, you could sit down and make goals and say, I want to have 3 stores if that's what it's all about. But
I'm too tired for that. I'm just like, I want to go to bed. Yeah, exactly. And people come in and they'll say, is this a franchise? Like, which like in some ways I'm like, wow, that's so nice that they think that this is like that well executed, that they think that like professionals did this, but it's just me, like
that's great.
Yeah. So, and I'm like,
exciting.
no, just there's this little old shop here. This is it. So,
cool.
I'm happy to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always kind of like to do something here. I don't know if you listen to any of them, but any of the other podcasts.
They're great.
But thank you. Trying. This is all new. Like you said, you start, you just got to get going and then you keep refining and getting better. But I just ask people about favorite item in their life. Like, it's something that it could be that you use every day in the kitchen, at home, at work, anything, but just something that is like, tell me about like this one thing that you use.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the time, but like you just love it. And tell me about it and why, I guess.
Okay. So I guess mine, I don't know if this counts, but it's probably a candle at the end of the day, like after we clean up from dinner. I want to get like the food smell out of the house. So I light a candle and I have a lot of candles and I kind of cycle through them all. But that again, like sets a mood for me. It sets a tone. I turn the lights off in the kitchen. Sorry, there's like dust up here. And it's a way to like unwind at the end of the day. And it kind of signals to me like, this is the end of a day. Like we're winding down and I don't know, it just kind of refreshes the space for me. And then I can still smell it. You know what I do also is I wake up in the middle of the night and I say, oh my God, did I blow that candle out?
Right.
And then I inevitably have to go down and check. Of course I blew it out, but that's always that panic moment. But then I can smell it in the morning, which is nice too. So I just I'm like big on scent. I don't know what it is, but, I like my house to smell like a fancy hotel.
Yeah.
So I do that. Start burning at night and then it smells like a fancy hotel through the morning, which is nice. So I guess that's kind of like, it's symbolic for me. It's, also I can change it if I'm sick of something or whatever, but I guess my candle and my like wick trimmer, which I do have a pair of like wick trimmer scissors.
Tell me about the wick trimmer.
Oh my God. They're these silly scissors that have like, they look like regular scissors and then they have like a disc on the end and they're a flat.
Oh yes, I've seen them.
Yes.
Do you have like a pair that you just love?
Yeah. And we sell them at the store if anybody needs a pair. They are a game changer because otherwise you're like jabbing at this wick with your kitchen scissors or whatever. And it's like a total mess in there.
Right.
But these, you just clip it and it holds onto the wick so you can take it out. so that you don't get like the smoke and all of the.
That's something you use every night to put it out?
No, to like cut the wick and then I light it. You want to cut the wick before you light it. Yeah. Because if your wick is too long, then you get a huge flame and you get too much smoke and like all that black stuff that is all over your backsplash.
I'm not a candle expert yet. We have been burning quite a few lately though.
Have you?
And sometimes the flames are pretty raging.
Yeah,
so
see, you should cut that down. That might help.
Yeah. So tell me more about the clippers too.
The clippers, they're just kind of like people.
How did you find them? What do you?
My mom had a pair of my grandmother's, like from years, a million years ago, and like a candle snuffer, which I don't use a candle snuffer. I just blow it out. But just kind of like. It seems extravagant. It seems like a silly thing that you don't need, but I don't know. It's like one of those things that once you start using it, you have to have it. You know? I don't know. Just
Wait, so you had one from your that came from your grandmother?
Yeah, my mom had like a set. I remember.
Is that the same one that you sell now?
No.
That would be really cool.
It's like a different company or something.
But this one's like an old, like a.
Yeah, I have the ones
is it like silver or gold or?
We have like an antique brass kind, and we have the ones I have are black, but they're just like a sturdy scissor and kind of at an angle, and I don't know, they're just like a cool little item. And everybody comes in and they pick them up and they're like, "What's this for?" And then you tell them
ones that you sell.
Yeah, some that we sell, and then you tell them, they're like, "Oh, I need to have this." I'm like, "Yes, you do. Of course you do."
Yeah, it's very practical.
Yeah, it is a practical thing.
And candles, like. Yeah, I said an item, and you're talking about candles in general, but like they do a lot for you. Like this is part of your routine.
Yeah, totally.
It's very practical. Like you can't, like it's a huge part of your life.
It is. I love and my kids always say.
That's something you use a lot. I mean, every day. That's
all
really
the time.
Neat. Yeah.
And when I light the candle and I turn the lights off, my kids say the chicken's closed. Like when Benny was little, I would say kitchen's closed, and he's like, the chicken's closed? So he always says chicken's closed. So it's like I light the candle, turn off the lights, and then they say that, and then we know it's time for a bath.
That's so
and
special.
Like, it's just a silly thing, but I hope they remember.
But it's story. Yeah. It's like memories and story.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have found. I'm sure I'll talk about it more, but as I've asked people that, it's like, I thought they were going to be talking about these different characteristics of this, like explaining this item, like why they like it. But like, it's more about like the story and the feeling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the feeling that you get from that one thing that you're using.
Like what it's doing for their life.
Yeah.
And the practicality, which has been really neat.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much like talk about minimalism and like, you don't need all these things and all that. But like, there are certain things in your life that really are important and hold memories and hold so much like special. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I think, I'm a minimalist a little bit, but it's also important to have things around you because they have stories with them and it's a part of you. So
and you need it. You do need some things.
Yes, of course.
And right? I mean, as long as for me, it's like as long as they bring more like peace into your life, bring order out of chaos. Like,
right, exactly.
If it's saving you time or a headache or whatever, but like do it with a quality thing. Like, what ends up happening to all of us, I'm sure, in America and beyond, is like, here's this thing I think is going to help me in life, but then I buy the right thing, but it's no good.
Yeah, exactly.
I use it twice and it breaks, or it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
I literally just bought something at Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going all in on this thing. I take it out of the box, like it's just a light, like a motion sensor light, a solar thing.
Yeah.
That thing lasted like 2 days.
So
I mean, it was like $40, which isn't nothing, and I was just like, wow. Like, really? I mean, and I know stuff breaks, but I was just like, come on. Why does this have to happen like almost every time?
I miss the good old days. And I always say this like in the store, like where you could plug your like barcode scanner into your computer and you knew it would connect. You didn't have to worry about Bluetooth or like anything, the internet going out. I just feel like there's so much tech and so much stuff and it's exhausting. It's like, again, back to basics, like, plug one thing into the other. That being said, like I will never probably have a house phone again, like a landline. I don't have one of those. But like, I don't know, back to basics, Oh,
I'm there.
Yeah.
So can you just tell everybody, like, where can we find you?
Sure.
How do we?
Yeah, you can find us in the Old Port at 43 Silver Street in Portland. FitzBennettHome.com, all spelled out, the longest name ever. Or you can find us on Instagram at Fitz Bennett Home, FitzBennettHome. Got that?
You nailed it. Yeah, great.
Where
did the name come from?
Oh, it's my two grandmothers' maiden names. Fitzgerald was my mom's maiden name, Joan Fitzgerald, and Muriel Bennett was my dad's mom's name. Okay. And they, grew up in a different time, and like their homes were showpieces essentially. Like my grandmother, Fitzgerald, had this room. It was the museum. We never went in it. It was like all very,
really,
we called it the museum as kids, but like it was the formal parlor or whatever in the house. And we'd have Christmas in there and, but like you didn't go in there. You didn't touch things. You certainly didn't like sit on the couch or the furniture or anything.
Yeah.
Had this like pink velvet couch, like very, I don't know. So she was always very prideful and
very like Victorian.
Yes. Yeah. Everything was very kind of ornate and beautifully put together.
Right.
And they lived in this gorgeous old house.
I wonder why you wanted to become who you are.
I know, I guess. And then my other grandmother, she had her own style in her own way too. But again, very kind of special, precious things. Everything had a story to it. So,
really?
Yeah. So
That's cool.
Feel like I was like, what better way to like honor my two grandmothers? My maiden name is Maker, Maker. So it was going to be like Maker. I was trying to figure out how to like incorporate that name.
Fitzgerald and Bennett, those are such classy,
good names. Yeah,
and Maker, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, there was another store in Portland that opened up around the same time that had Maker in it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not using that name, but maybe someday I can use it in the future, right? For a
second store.
Yeah, second store, totally.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being guest, Lauren.
Thank you.
It's been awesome. Really appreciate you being on the podcast. And giving us all this inspiration and cool stories.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like what we are doing here at Slow Goods and want to see us grow, please support us by sharing it with someone who may also enjoy it. We would also really appreciate your support by subscribing, following, liking, wherever you can find us on any of the platforms, whether it be anywhere you listen to a podcast or YouTube or Instagram or something like that. We'd love to hear from you, what you really liked, how can we improve, who you want us to interview, and we would just really appreciate any of that support and advice and encouragement. So thank you very much.